Well, joining us now is a professor from Saddleback College Emeritus Institute, and his name is Bill Sinclair, and he actually teaches political science over there at Saddleback College. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Paul.
Do you just work out of the Saddleback campus?
No, in fact, there's about 6 different sites that,
no kidding.
that I talk from, and they're all different, they're all diversified.
Right.
People
and that's
agree.
one of the beauties about the Emeritus program, right? Because you could be here in our community in one of the clubhouses, or be somewhere else like in Irvine or Dana Point or wherever it might be, huh?
All over.
Well, tell us a little bit about your professional experience and your time at Saddleback College especially.
Okay, I used to be CEO of First Washington Bank Corp. And also prior to that, I was president of American Federal Bank, Perpetual American Bank, New West Bank Shares, and I was a faculty member of the Federal Reserve System for quite a few years, the Mortgage Bankers Association, AT&T School of Banking, along with a guest lecturer for, I did this for about 10 years on economic and political issues at Northwestern University's Graduate School of Management. Next thing you know, came down to California from the East Coast, ended up at Emeritus. It's a great experience. The people are terrific. The program's excellent.
Wow. So you got out of that financial banking about the time of the financial banking crisis was kind of resolving itself for the time being at least, huh?
I was lucky.
Got out just in time.
Huh?
And how did you get acquainted with Saddleback College? How did that transition, how did you handle that transition? Because here you are in the heart of banking industry, and it was going through so many different things back then. And then now you're teaching political science.
It was a transition of opportunity. You know, what I did for, I guess close to 40 years, I had an opportunity to get out of the trenches and get into the classroom and say, hey, here's some thoughts and ideas, here's some issues we might want to discuss, because everything is all about, not only domestically, but it's a geopolitical climate.
Absolutely. We're learning that right now with Greece once again.
Oh, especially today.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because you briefly mentioned it. You talk about political hot topics. So in some of your lectures, you're taking timely events like possibly today you would speak about Greece or something like that?
Today we talk about the Iranian deal, we talk about Greece, we talk about North Korea, we talk about the Middle East in general. Now that's what I call the global political and economic environment. In addition to that, we also talk about domestic issues. What about this election coming up next year? What about what's going on with the policy of the country, foreign policy? What about our money situation? What about the monetary and fiscal basis? There's so much to talk about. I'll walk into class and I'll say, I want to cover these 8 topics. If I get through 3, I'm lucky. Because of the participation of the students.
That was my next question. How informed are you finding the students nowadays, especially when we're talking about not only domestic but international, news and events as well?
Incredibly informed. It's amazing. These people, and a lot of them are retired, some of them aren't, but the point is they are so well versed on all sorts of issues today. I kid with them and I say, I'm the facilitator. I walk in and say, here's the topic today, and the hands go up. And I'll say, what do you think about this? One thing that I say that works very well is I said, look, since this happens to be a political, economic type of session, we have moderates, we have conservatives, and we have liberals. Point being is everybody must respect everybody's opinion. That's what this great nation's all about. So given that, I bring up a topic, up go the hands, and I try to cover at least 3 or 4 of my topics.
What's the average age you think in your classes during some of these discussions?
I'm going to say 65 to 70 maybe. We do have some younger ones, but it's amazing that just these people want to participate, they want to be included, and the thoughts and the comments they have are critical and most informative.
Absolutely. They've seen many things already, so those experiences will help in that conversation. And again, just like Saddleback College, it's lifelong learning. So, 65, it doesn't mean you can't go back to school.
Oh, no, not at all. Some of them are just beginning.
Well, one of the questions is why do you love teaching the program? But I think I can already answer that for you. Man, you really enjoy it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
The people.
Uh-huh.
It's all about the people. And the people are very enthusiastic. They want to talk about things. They want to find answers. They want to know what's going on domestically and globally in the world today. And what's incredible is so many will say, well, I read in the New York Times, or I read in the Washington Post, or I read in the Wall Street Journal, or the LA Times. They're informed.
Right.
And when they come into class, they have thoughts and opinions they want to express on a diversified basis and say, okay, here's my opinion. Now let's debate it.
Right.
And we do.
And how does the internet help you or hinder in those
Well, the
discussions?
internet, there's so much information on the internet. It's like going to Costco. That's what I say to
Right,
them.
yeah.
And it's incredible, the information and how well informed the people are, the discussions we have, and the different debates. My goal, number one, is awareness. And the whole point being is what's really going on. Now, here we are, we're in July. Summer school will be over soon. We'll get into the fall. But already a majority of the students want to talk about the candidates on the Democratic side and on the Republican.
Right.
There's great debates going on.
Absolutely.
It's very difficult for me to sideline and say, let's discuss that. Well, wait a minute. What about Ron Paul? What about Jeb Bush? What about Hillary Clinton? Most interesting.
Is it difficult for you to be on the fence throughout that discussion? Because you obviously have your own political opinions, and if somebody may come up with something that, may be misinformed in some way, try to,
Negotiate.
teach them something, negotiate something
gotta
without
negotiate.
hurting someone's feelings, right?
Sometimes somebody might come up with an opinion, and you can tell by some of the responses from other people in the group, and they'll say, now look, Charlie's opinion over here relates to these aspects, and there could be another side to the coin. So what do you all think about what Charlie says? Do you have any opinion which might add or enhance to whatever the topic is, or maybe another picture?
Right.
All the hands go up.
Right. Well, what are your best memories so far? You've been there, about 8 years now?
About 8 years now. I'd say every year I have great memories of the people and just how participative they are, how informed they are, and they're a wonderful group of ladies and gentlemen. And that's how they conduct themselves.
Very nice. Yeah. And that's kind of the nice thing about the Emeritus program, too, is that they're really not crunching for grades and term papers and things like that. They're usually there because they want to be there, and they want to be educated and informed and be part of this process. So it's nice to have people in the classroom that actually want to be there, right?
It is. Look, they want to express their opinions, and at the same time, they want to hear other opinions, and at that point, it enhances their knowledge base. That's what it's about.
And is that your hope for teaching throughout your years here, is that they accomplish those goals?
I just want to make a productive contribution to what's taking place today and enjoy their company, what they have to say, and take it to the next step.
Right. Wow. Well, what about the next couple semesters? Will you be teaching at Saddleback College or Irvine Valley during the fall and then the spring program?
The fall and the spring, I'll be with Saddleback at the different locations, and we'll be continuing discussions on everything that's going on globally and domestically.
Right. Well, it sounds like it'd be a great class to attend, and like you said, you're not just bringing in a textbook and say, hey, we're going to be studying this. No, we're studying real-time, real-world events. And like you said, everything is so global now.
Absolutely.
That discussion could go on for many hours and days even.
Absolutely. There is no textbook. I said the textbook is what you see on TV, the news shows, and there's so many today.
Right.
And the internet.
Absolutely.
All the information. Think about what's going on and let's discuss it.
Right.
And we have very nice debates, a lot of diversity, but great opinions and respect for one another.
There you go. Very nice. Well, it sounds like a great class to attend. Hey, that's Bill Sinclair. He's teaching political science over there at the Emeritus Institute. He also teaches at Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College in the spring and the fall. And, hey, you get a chance, take some of his courses and have some great conversations, right?
everybody's welcome.
There you go. Thanks so much for joining us on the program today.
Well, thank you.
We'll be right back with more of the program right after this.